Boy, did we need a result like that. Boy, did we deserve a result like that. I tell you what, that was a big one. Welcome back to the City Ramble. If you are new around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, trying to grow this channel as much as possible. Regular watchers of the City Ramble on YouTube will see that the setup is a little bit different. That's because I'm currently in Argentina, hence as well why this reaction video is a little bit later than usual, although we have still got the podcast feed up and running, plenty of episodes on there, including a big sort of, I think it was about 45-minute long review show, so make sure to get that, Apple Podcast, Spotify, etc, etc. But yeah, Man City 3, Liverpool 0. I will say straight off the bat, I didn't actually watch the game live. I was at Boca Juniors versus River Plate, which was an experience that words don't even do justice. If you want to see a little bit more than that, you can get on my Instagram, Amos Murphy _. Plenty of videos, plenty of pictures on there as well. Enough of the shameless plugs. The point is, I have since watched back, taken all of the details in, and thoroughly deserved. Like I said at the top, thoroughly deserved. City absolutely dominated Liverpool for not even the majority of the match, almost all of that match. And let's start with the big talking point, the big main talking point, I feel like. Jeremy Doku's performance. We have been waiting and waiting and waiting for a performance like that in the biggest of big matches. And yes, you might say Liverpool as an opponent weren't exactly where they were, but he's now done it against United earlier this season. He was great against Napoli. He was fantastic against Arsenal, away at Arsenal, one of City's toughest matches of the season. You can chuck Liverpool in there as well. I still think there are one or two worries, not worries, but one or two sort of consistency-wise, he possibly needs to iron it out. So instead of, every 3 matches he has a great one, maybe take that down to every 2 matches, or maybe, ideally, every single match he's on top form. But he's getting there. He's absolutely getting there. And I think this season as well, we've seen a massive shift. He's obviously operating in the pockets a little bit more, which, when you watch it, when you see it, it just makes so much more sense. And maybe this is Pep Blinders. Obviously, he worked wonders with Mane, Salah, and obviously Firmino, who was false 9 at Liverpool. But maybe that's an influence that he's brought along. I don't know, but it just feels so much better than when he's dashing down the line, trying to get to the byline, cutting back, and it just looks a little bit clumsy. This looks fluid. It looks like, think of the top wingers from across world football over the last 20 years. Iron Robin-esque. Obviously, it's a different side, but the way that he's able to cut in, and that goal, that strike, just pure, gorgeous, absolutely sensational finish. He was obviously man of the match, and deservedly so. Again, consistency-wise, let's go and see that again at Newcastle after the international break. Fingers crossed as well, maybe this is something that he can't control as much, but fitness, he's obviously been a player that picks up the odd injury here and there. Hopefully his body will, he's able to trust his body a little bit more, and he gets the look there. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. In terms of the way that City played and controlled the match, I was very really weird setup by Arne Slot, strange. And on the City Ramble podcast, I made a prediction. At the start of every year, we do our hot take predictions, what's going to happen in, for this year, 2025, etc. And I said that the trophies that Arne Slot wins with Liverpool, what would have been last season, will be the only trophies that he wins during his time as Liverpool manager. And I feel like that prediction is becoming more and more true as the weeks go by. I don't want to say out of his depth, because obviously he's a league-winning manager, but there does seem to be some sort of, frailty there. It's weird. Anyway, obviously, at the opposite end of the spectrum, Pep Guardiola, 1,000 games in management. If you're under any doubt that he's the greatest of all time, then you're just delusional. You're kidding yourself at this point. I think it was interesting in his 1,000th game that we had Matheus Nunes put up a performance like that, a player that has been castigated, a player that's been called out by Pep himself. If you go back to his early time as a City player, I think he said something along the lines of he's not clever enough to play in midfield or something like that, words to that effect. Guardiola's obviously spotted something that can work with in terms of the right fullback role, and question. Hit us up in the comments, and as well, if you're not already, get involved in the City Ramble Discord. Subscribe, like, etc. You know the score by now. But question and let us know your answer in the comments. At what point do we stop saying Matheus Nunes is a makeshift right back? Because I feel like we're already there. I feel like at this point he is showing all of the credentials to be what you would consider a right back, and a great one at that. He's got the athleticism, he's got the defensive ability, which, you know, was probably the biggest question mark. He's just shown it in this game against Liverpool and plenty of times already this season. He's got the technical ability as well. That cross for that Haaland goal. He's one of the I'd say most consistent players in this City squad to be servicing Erling Haaland, to be getting assists for Erling Haaland. He knows how to play with him. He's got an absolutely wicked right foot when he gets a cross in. And yeah, just absolutely another fantastic performance from him. Do City stop looking for a right back? You know, it's difficult to know because obviously the sample size is relatively small compared to a player that's played there for most of their career. But if you can get performances like this on a regular basis, and don't get me wrong, there will probably be a moment where he makes a mistake. I do think he's getting better at those sort of decision making and what we would call bozo moments, but it does feel like we're at that point now where maybe they put that search on the back burner. Maybe they're able to go out and get a young right back, you know, like maybe a project player, because there isn't a need to spend 75 million quid on Livramento or whatever it would be, because Nunes is performing. Haaland goal, amazing. I don't know how much he knows about it. I've not seen sort of the proper angles. He just kind of, it's weird. Like, we obviously, I think most people would say one of Erling Haaland's biggest weaknesses heading into this season was his heading ability, but we've seen him score plenty. Go back to that Napoli game. I think that's one of his best goals in a City shirt, because the whereabouts and the nous just to knock it over the goalkeeper, almost like a chip, but with his head. This one, look, maybe I'm doing him a disservice. It feels like there was maybe a tiny bit of luck involved. Canate, I don't know what on earth he's doing. It feels like his head is possibly already in at Real Madrid, given his contract situation. Yeah, but Haaland, I mean, what is it now? 99 Premier League goals, just a joke, just ridiculous. Phil Foden, he's really growing into that position, really maturing as a footballer as well. So impressed with him this season. I think in terms of unsung heroes, although he's definitely starting to get more flowers, but he's been doing that for I'd say almost every single game he's played this season. There hasn't been a game that I can remember where he's really gone hiding. Even in the Aston Villa match, which obviously wasn't a great performance by him or anybody else, I think he was City's best player. Still, 6 out of 10. But yeah, the controversy surrounding the referee decisions, I'm sat here scratching my head. I tell you what, I came out of the stadium yesterday for the Boca Juniors match, and the cell service, mobile service, cell service turned into an American then. Sorry, Americans. The mobile phone coverage is just not great from whatever sort of data I'm on, and I was just sort of getting sort of like WhatsApp messages coming through, and even like some City fans and other football fans in group chats like, "Oh, we've paid the ref off here. He's so biased towards City." Obviously, Jamie Carragher did a big piece on Sky where he's sort of, it looks like his head's about to explode. I was expecting Erling Haaland to have punched the ball off the line for a Liverpool goal. That's why it was disallowed. When I saw it, I was like, what am I meant to be missing here? The Liverpool player, I think it's McAllister, might be wrong, I don't know. He stood where the ball goes and he ducks, and that's also about half a metre away from Donnarumma. It's textbook. I'm sorry, that's a great referee call, and I think we should be, instead of trying to pick holes in every single decision, praising the assistant referee. I think it was the assistant referee who spotted it anyway. He's interfering, full stop. The penalty, I don't know why it took that long to give it. I found it hilarious that Bernardo Silva boots the ball into play, a little bit like a rugby player sort of kicking it out into play, so the game stops and the ref has a look at it. Again, I'm not a VAR fan, and I know you can say that, look, this decision came from VAR, so that doesn't make sense. I understand the contradiction, but I think for that, the referee should give it on the pitch. Obviously, it is a clear and obvious error, but why it takes so long, I don't know. I think the whole process is just a mess. But yeah, City absolutely deserving of that win. Haaland, Another missed penalty, not great. I'm not sure how many that is in a City shirt now. Maybe I'm doing Haaland a disservice just because his standards are so high. But I have the feeling that his penalty record isn't amazing, which is hilarious when you consider how many goals he scores from open play. There you go, Haaland. A little bit of homework. But yeah, just a top performance, a real statement. Title race on. Absolutely on. 5 points it is right now. And what I'll say about that is I don't know if City have the consistency to keep up with Arsenal yet. Now, just hear me out. Arsenal obviously dropped points away at Sunderland. Sunderland's a difficult place to go. I think City go there. No, City have Sunderland at home first, so maybe it's later on in the season, which maybe won't be ideal if City are chasing Arsenal or even leading at the top of the Premier League table. So obviously Arsenal dropped points, and it was always far too early for people to be saying they're champions, the this, that, the other. Far too early. I don't know why Arsenal fans especially have been so giddy about it. We do know that City this season have been inconsistent at times. Will those Spurs and Brighton results, when City weren't really in full flow yet, come back to haunt City? Maybe. But obviously that it was early days in the season, so it was impossible to tell at the time. I do think we will have one or two other matches like the Aston Villa one a couple of weeks ago where it just doesn't click. Say, for example, on that day Nico Gonzalez wasn't fit enough to start and there was no Rodri, or, I don't know, touch wood, it doesn't happen, but Erling Haaland is out injured, something like that. If there is something, or a suspension or whatever, where City kind of have to rejig, I don't know right now if they've got the pieces to be able to do that and still come through with results. I don't know. But I think if City are within 6 points come January, February, something like that, I think Arsenal start getting worried. I really do, because we know this team, even though there are lots of new players in the team, the core is still made up of winners. Even Donnarumma, obviously, who's come in from PSG, it's his first season, but he knows how to win big trophies. It's made of winners. And when you get into the running, City have winners in their team. Arsenal don't. So, look, I still think it's game by game, because Newcastle away next, that's massive. I think there's Leeds coming up as well. Sunderland, like I said, a couple of big matches. So, look, you can't complain. I think this has been another really good spell in between international breaks for City. Obviously, apart from that Aston Villa game, but everyone at the time said it was a one-off. Let's see where we are for the next game. But the last three matches in particular, win against Bournemouth, win against Dortmund, win against Liverpool, have scored at least 3 goals in all of them. And players other than Erling Haaland are starting to score goals. That's important. That's massive. I think we'll call it a day there. We will obviously catch up later on in the week. Speaking about City, I'm hoping 115 doesn't drop whilst I'm here. That would be chaos. But yeah, if you've enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, leave your comments, let us know what you thought of the game. And until next time, it's been a pleasure.